What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys the final review in my Halloween 2019 series. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. Happy Halloween, everybody! As I said at the beginning, this is the last Halloween classic that I'm going to be reviewing in this series. Thank you guys so much for watching all of these reviews. I had a fun time just watching horror movies nonstop. For the final one, guys, I'm going to be reviewing Alfred Hitchcock's classic, Psycho. This film came out in 1960, and it has inspired horror filmmakers 40, 50 plus years later, and this movie has remained a classic since. This movie stars Janet Leigh as Marion Crane. She's a woman who is fleeing from her job and society. She steals $40,000 from her boss, and she drives out in the middle of nowhere to this motel called the Bates Motel. And there she meets Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins, this young adult who is running this motel with his mother, Mrs. Bates, and they start talking with each other, communicating, and she has no idea that Norman Bates is actually a psychopathic killer. I could explain the plot to Psycho all day, but you all know what the plot to Psycho is. If you haven't seen Psycho, what is your problem? Like, this is one of the best horror films of all time. There's so many things that I love about Psycho, just the horror elements and the psychological elements that are inside this film, and it's the main reason why people still talk about it and really inspire their films based off of it. Janet Leigh, this is the mother of Jamie Lee Curtis. If you guys did not know that, you know Laurie Strode from Halloween, and Janet Leigh is great in this movie, and I'll talk more in depth about her character because you know what happens to her character. But really, once everyone watches Psycho, everyone's going to talk about Norman Bates, and Norman Bates as a character is really interesting, and Anthony Perkins gives a very charismatic performance as the character. When you're first introduced to Norman, he just seems like a normal guy who's running this motel, who's taking care of his mother, and this character is really interesting from the start, but then it gets crazy because this guy he's messed up. One of the best parts about this movie is that you don't get introduced to Norman Bates until like 40 minutes into the movie, which is definitely a plus because you're waiting for Norman Bates to show up, but that's one of the clever things Hitchcock does. And I also do enjoy the detective in this movie, Sam Loomis. And that name, Sam Loomis, is also from Halloween. And that's another fun fact, where they got the name Sam Loomis from. Hitchcock knows how to build up suspense. And the suspense in this movie is intense from start to finish. We get introduced to these characters. And then once the crazy stuff does happen, when shit hits the fan, it's well earned. And from the score from Bernard Herrmann is such a classic. The shower scene is amazing, and in this scene right here, the main character of the movie dies. And it's a really shocking moment. Like, oh my god, they killed off the main character, but that's definitely one of the positives of this movie. Psycho really was that first, or one of the first films to really kill off their main character. Hitchcock really develops these characters well into having two different subplots go down, where the whole story is pretty much discovering who Norman Bates really is. And I just love the direction this movie goes in with Norman Bates' character. Every time someone comes to the motel, he has to put on this ego that he has to be himself, but he's really holding in a really dark secret. Because after this guy murders somebody, he goes out to the swamp and he puts the evidence down in the swamp. And it's a really interesting layer of a monster. I guess kind of a nitpick that everybody has with this movie is with the final twist being explained too much. It takes about 3 minutes for them to fully explain the twist of the movie, that we all know Norman Bates is battling two personalities. That shocking moment where Lila turns around that skeleton body of Norman's mother is a really terrifying moment, and I love the way Hitchcock did that. And it shows that he is battling these two personalities, where it's mainly the mother taking over Norman, and it's what's causing Norman to do all these evil things. And if you're watching this movie today, I guess people can make that criticism that you have to explain the twist, even though you don't need to. This isn't 2019 where audiences can really fully understand what the twist is, so I can understand why Hitchcock had to do that. Just because of that twist doesn't downgrade Psycho for being one of the best horror films that has ever come out. Alfred Hitchcock has made so many masterpieces, and this is one of his best, in my personal opinion. And I love everything about the movie. It's suspenseful, and it's timeless. That's the biggest word. It's timeless cinema. Nothing else needs to be said, guys. Psycho gets a big old 5 out of 5 stars. Okay, guys, that was my thoughts on Psycho. Have you guys seen Psycho yet? And if you haven't, please watch it. And let me know your thoughts and opinions. Did you love it? Think it was okay? Did you absolutely hate it? I hope you guys have a happy Halloween. If you're going trick-or-treating, please stay safe. Thank you guys as always for watching this review. All my social media links are in the description below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.